You are listening to Nicholas Acosta with Downtown Expert Realty in Orlando, Florida. Host of the podcast, Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. Nick sits down with guests to talk about how real estate works. You can check out his podcast at www.downtown.expert or 407-508-8809. Facebook and Instagram at downtown.expert. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody. This is Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast coming to you from beautiful downtown Orlando, Florida, across from Lake Eola Park. This show is for anyone and everyone to talk about real estate and how it works. Again, I'm Nicholas Acosta, a licensed real estate broker with Downtown Expert Realty here in Orlando, Florida. I sit down with guests and interview them to get them exposure, as well as talk about what they do and how real estate is part of what they do, and any other topics that we discuss as well. You can contact me at 407-508-8809 or at downtown.expert on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Enjoy the episode. Today's guest and paid advertiser for the show, Mike Tuncetic, President and CEO of Blanchard Insurance here in Central Florida. Like I said, Blanchard Insurance is a paid advertiser of this podcast. They'll be on the show with me once a week to talk about insurance and how insurance works. So, Mike, with that, thank you for accepting my invitation and being a paid advertiser for the show. And good morning. How are you doing today, sir?
Great. Thanks for having me. Hope you enjoyed a wonderful Labor Day, and thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, yeah. No, same here. I hope you had a great holiday as well. And like you were talking about in pre-show, I actually got to go out and show my listing yesterday around noontime. So it was still good. We still had a good day after that. It was good all day no matter what. So it's all good. Yep.
Great.
So, yeah, Mike, so first introduce yourself and, tell them, like you said, your information is like, coming out from behind the curtain. And then also about your rebrand and how you guys are different than anybody else out there.
Yeah, absolutely. When we say coming out from behind the curtain, you probably have seen most of our marketing and our branding team out there over the last few years, which has been Allie Hockstadt, my office, and Jamie Hoover. They've been kind of the face of the company, but we've seen it as a necessity more so for me to come out there and talk more about insurance because I'm getting asked questions all day long by our teams in the office. I've been kind of become a local expert and kind of an encyclopedia on everything, boring in relation to insurance. So I'm kind of stepping out into the community more with this rebrand to talk about topics, especially homeowners insurance here and kind of the whole debacle that we're going through with this hard market here in Florida for the next 2 to 5 years. So I've kind of stepped out and talk a little bit about that. We do have a rebrand that's coming up. Every 2 to 5 years, we kind of follow a strategy of keeping our brand fresh and live and something new for, not only of our clients, but for the Central Florida community. Our focus on this rebrand is to really focus on, I know it sounds kind of redundant and sound cliche, but it's really everything is being done to focus more on the clients and focus more on our business-to-business partners and then really who they are and what makes them and makes them, good clients of ours and why we love to work with them, and same thing for our partners. So it's really giving a very humanistic quality to our brand is what we're trying to do right now.
No, that's so awesome. And like we were talking, Mike and I were talking prior to starting the show at 11 this morning, just give you guys out there listening and watching today some insight. We were basically talking about we're in a world now, especially with the post-pandemic world now, where it used to be like even in real estate, like I was telling you, Mike, before the show, we could say we offer you concierge level of service, or when I was insurance, we said the same thing. And And also, I tell them I'm going to go above and beyond for everybody, but that's not enough anymore today.
Yeah.
With consumers, because they want you to basically, like we were talking about, tell your story, show us a story, show us evidence of what you can do for us. Don't tell us that you can do this. Show us what you do for us, basically.
Exactly. And I mean that in the insurance business, we see that happening, and we take a look at the companies and what they're doing. I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate this coming from, a similar background, that the insurance companies that do the best are the ones who put money and capital behind their infrastructure in regards to claims. I mean, the ones who are focusing on the claims experience are the companies that are really at the top of their game right now, in the top of the market. And it's right now, it's neck and neck with Geico and Progressive. I mean, they are Geico, I believe this month is going to overtake State Farm as the largest auto insurer in the United States. And when it comes down to it, when you actually look at what they are doing, how they're able to accomplish it, it's not the lizard. It's not saving 15%, every 15 minutes, and everything you see on television and your ads, your email box, your mail. It really comes down to how they are treating the consumer on the opposite side in the claims handling experience and making it easy to do business. On our end, like you just said, what does customer service mean? I offer the best. Well, what is the best? What are you doing to go above and beyond? And in our office, I mean, we on a day-to-day basis, it seems like, half of what we're doing anymore is insurance, and the other half is, we're referring out to realtors, we're referring out to attorneys, to CPAs, looking up information. I mean, obviously, we're not giving legal advice, but we're researching who's the best lawyer for them to go see when they have a trouble with estate planning or something along those lines. So we've really become an expert too in a lot of facets outside of our just insurance. And I think in this day and age, you really have to stress and be able to do that, to offer things that are just not clear cut, because when you tell the customer or tell the consumer that this is all I can do and this is where the line is, don't overstep it or I'm going to be of no value anymore. In today's society, you really can't do that. And it's not hard to do, especially with the amount of information and the amount of resources out there available to both to the consumer and both to the business owner. You can provide these services. So.
No, I completely. I was thinking about when I was listening to you and taking in what you were saying. I was thinking, whether it's insurance, like you with the guys at Blanchard Insurance, or me in real estate, or anybody out there in real estate, we are basically we're the go-to people now for all their advice. And I always make a joke, exactly. And I always make a joke in real estate. I'm not a licensed therapist, but we always say that real estate agents and probably insurance agents are like therapists too, because consumers nowadays ask us for their advice, especially like what we went through and, with the shutdowns for a while and the new environment or the new world we live in. Basically, people want to turn to humans again and say, hey, hey, Nick, or hey, Mike, what do I do? Where can I go for this? Who can I talk to this? Yeah, I get asked all the time about who do I can refer to them to for like an attorney and things like that. And, just like you guys do as well and other things. So, yeah, I mean, it's just interesting how the world has changed. And it's interesting how the coronavirus or the COVID-19 thing kind of accelerated what we were talking about, the passion. What was it? The
passion economy
that we live in now, because now you want to. Basically, you're going to show. So I was going to ask you that. I mean, what do you think that the passion economy is going to do to like traditional infrastructure when it comes to insurance, or even just in general in the in the economy?
Well, it's really interesting. To give you a really good example of it, I had a friend, and they had a child who was going to college. I mean, we're talking Ivy League education. Hopefully, there was a scholarship. I'm not sure there was one in play, but it was costing her arm and a limb to send this kid to school to get the best education. Got after graduation, had a job lined up at a Fortune 500 company, white collar job, making probably $250,000 a year to start. And they unfortunately got a call one day that was, hey, mom and dad, I want to go teach English in Thailand. And it was like, well, why do you want to do that? I mean, they wanted to sell all their belongings and move off. And I think it's on one end, it was, well, now we have social media these days. So I am seeing, and he was like, well, what's your opinion on it? And I'm going, well, they're probably watching about a dozen of their friends doing this and posting pictures on Instagram at some waterfall or some beach in Thailand going, well, I'm missing out on this. And am I wasting my life? And then on the other end, I think people are, especially younger generations, are seeing their parents. I mean, I know, in my generation, you are seeing people getting cancer younger, unfortunately. I mean, I can tell you like a quarter of the people I know, personal friends of mine and family, have probably had cancer in the 40s, and that's scary. I mean, we used to grow up thinking like, well, this is going to if this is going to happen, it's going to happen when they're 70. People are getting Alzheimer's, dementia earlier. So I think people are looking at it at that work-life balance and how can I achieve that? And I think a lot of the companies are starting to figure that out with COVID. Some companies are just going absolutely remote. I mean, you're looking on the insurance side, companies like Nationwide who went completely independent. Now they're small business owners. They're thinking about Allstate, I think, is slated to do that in 2021, where they're like, no longer are you just going to be an Allstate agent. You're going to be your own small business owner. I believe some companies are going to get rid of their infrastructure entirely and just go to remote working spaces. It's going to be interesting to happen. I think the downside to it is going to be the collaboration. And I'm sure you guys have seen that in the real estate world, especially in our office, was we're all back in the office now. And one of the reasons, or most of us are, one of the reasons was that we did notice working remotely, the collaboration went down. And the time to communicate collaboration went way up. And what I mean by that was I couldn't hear somebody walking by my office talking to somebody else where I could interject and offer an opinion or offer advice. Instead it was like, well, we have to wait till the weekly meeting. Or to get an answer, it was like, well, I got to wait on somebody to answer an email, so we incorporated live chat. Well, if nobody's monitoring the live chat, and, once, coming full circle there, that's going to be the interesting thing across all industries is with this passion economy, will actual productivity go down and efficiencies, and what will happen with the collaboration? That's the big question I think that remains.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's part of the reason I got my broker's license in real estate, because it's a passion, and that's why I do this podcast and have you like guests like you on here, because this is the way the world is nowadays. So we just have to adapt, and if anybody, if you don't adapt to the changes, then it can make people obsolete. But I think we're all doing a really good job, like you guys are doing at Blanchard Insurance, doing a great job adapting.
Absolutely. And it brings up another topic, and I know we were talking about this before the podcast as well, was about the word that's being tossed around, especially in the passion economy, that's authenticity and authentic. And I want to say probably about 3 to 4 years ago at our building here with the title company and a lot of other partners involved, we held a symposium, a seminar, where we had about 4 very successful young people, and I'm going to say young, I'm going to say between the ages of 20 and 30, involved in the real estate community. And the one the key word that was tossed around all day in that panel was the word authentic. And it's really interesting. And I wrote that down. I just thought about it, and I've thought about it over the years. And it's going to be real. And that plays in the case of the passion economy, direct correlation there. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think there has been a line that has been kind of drawn in the sand, and be interested if it crosses. And that is how is it more important for the business partner to be authentic, or in my case, the insurance agent? And where do I cross over? When does it become, a privacy issue crossing over into the client? How much does the client need to know about me? How much do I know myself anymore? So it's going to be interesting to see that blend, with that whole authenticity. I think one of the things that has lacked is, I think it's produced a lack of focus, unfortunately, on the consumer. So what we've instituted here is to get to know our consumers and make them authentic. What makes them authentic? Do we know enough about them? And I think down the road in real estate, financial services, insurance, I think you're going to see a need where there's the data that we have on the clients is not going to be like how much you paid for the house, what you sold it for, where are you moving from, what's your credit score and whatnot. Same thing on the insurance side. I can know everything about you financially and on paper, but what really do I know about you? For example, you look something up on Google now and, shopping, and it shows up in your Facebook feed. They have those analytics. So I think a lot of the companies in real estate and insurance are going to start to focus on that through social surveys. So for example, like Nick, if you have an auto claim and I know this is going to be a bad situation where I'm calling you up, do I have data on you personally to know how to have those conversations and alleviate it? Do I know who your alma mater is? Do I know what your favorite food is, or
right,
where you like to travel? Better knowing your clients with this whole thing with social data, I think is where we're going to see a lot of companies strive and thrive in the future. And the ones who kind of fail to do it, I think, are going to become antiquated.
No, I completely agree. And everybody, we're just going to take a real quick 15-second break for our sponsor, Blanchard Insurance, and I'll be right back, guys. Hold on one second. That's awesome, Mike. 1 second, guys. Yeah, I like that idea. That's what I do every day in my business, and I know you do too, Mike, with Blanchard Insurance. That I like that idea. I think that is the direction we're headed to, like you're talking about analytics. Even with my website, my webmaster company has Google Analytics set up. And as you know, I have a TV commercial, and they can track where they have a certain link that they sent to the cable network that's running the commercial. It's got my web address, or if they have, like banners on the website, on the news website. So when somebody clicks on that, they know exactly who clicked on it, and if they clicked on the banner on the website as an ad. And then that data comes back to me. And then, of course, we use this other thing called KV Core. And when I validate somebody, it gives me their Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and information about them, and it validates who they are. And then I can, connect with them on social media like we're talking about. Yep.
Absolutely. And we make a practice in this office is being able to develop an interpersonal connection with each client and just find something. I've lived overseas. I grew up half my life in Europe. And when I can connect with somebody like, hey, you went to this specific town that's not well known, I can connect with that person instantly. And every time, and I'm sure you can relate to the same thing, you almost develop like a photographic memory when it comes to your database and your clients. And it's unusual. I can't remember certain family members like birthdays, but I can remember specific things about clients. And we have thousands upon thousands of clients. And I know that sounds kind of scary, but I've always, made that a connection and implored our team too there's nothing wrong with making an interpersonal connection with your clients and knowing something about it, because believe it or not, I think a lot of consumers out there are researching us now as business owners as much as we are looking at them. I mean, I think some consumers now are going on Facebook and looking us up and seeing what we're doing on the weekend. And I think there needs to be a balance struck, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, I do the same thing. I mean, if I'm doing business with a new partner, I do my due diligence. I do my research, whether it's social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and whatnot. So I think the eyes are on us as well. And I think it's like we discussed before, it's going to be interesting to see where the balance of privacy gets involved and the authenticity and whatnot going forward.
No, I agree. That's completely agree with that. So we have like about 10 more minutes left of the show today, Mike. I was going to ask you this one other one that we talked about in advance that I maybe will be a good thing about. So the real estate at risk. How about let's talk about personal injury and social media, because as a broker now taking the course and also doing the ePro certification with National Association of Realtors, they talk a lot about the risk in real estate with personal injury and social media. So what do you have to say about that? Or what can you tell us about that?
It's something that has risen up through the years. I mean, losses have become more commonplace, and especially since COVID, statistically, and with the reports coming out, we've seen a recent huge spike and surge with personal injury claims. And when I'm talking personal injury, the main thing, it's not really bodily injury. We're talking defamation of character, and all that, involved in that. We started to see it a couple of years ago, mainly actually with kids and cyberbullying, where one parent was suing the other for cyberbullying and whatnot and winning lawsuits. And believe it or not, on most people's homeowners insurance policies, you can buy personal injury coverage. I mean, it's a limited amount. Yes, that's fair to say. I mean, $15,000 to $25,000. But then again, are you buying the cost of the coverage is literally like $15,000 to $25 per year or something, probably $1 for every $1,000 worth of coverage per year. So it's a nominal thing to add to your homeowners insurance policy. But it's enough money to pay an attorney to go away. As coming from the auto claims background, you want enough insurance, like a get out of jail free card, to pay off the attorney to make them go away. So that's where that coverage comes into play. But even with businesses, since people are more remote now, more using social media as a platform to do business, we are seeing a huge spike in just personal injury claims. So when a realtor we do recommend, when you have D&O insurance, errors and omissions, to make sure you have some form of limited coverage on there. And if you can't get it on your errors and omissions coverage, take a look at cyber liability. I mean, cyber insurance, it's going up in price, unfortunately, because there's more of a demand for it and there's a lot more losses. But for a realtor just getting into the industry, or has not been in the industry for too long, for example, like a brokerage, their cyber liability may cost a lot more than an individual realtor's, but it's something to take a look at and get coverage for. And like we were discussing before the podcast, claims you never see coming. I mean, it is that sucker punch that always hits you. And so many people are kind of, realtors, worried about, an E&O claim, but then they get hit with a lawsuit for, defamation on social media. And it's like, I never thought that would happen. And it came out of left field. That's the thing that is going to hit you in the end, not an E&O claim, not driving around a client in your car and getting into an accident. It's probably going to be something from left field like that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that it was a shock too, because I posted something probably a month ago when I was in the ePro class. They talked about from NAR. It was about American Disability Act compliance on your websites, and brokerages, like even the large brokerages, you're an independent contractor out there, so it's not that they don't care, but they don't provide you with the ADA compliance on your website, because that's coding that you have to pay a web person extra money to code that. And I have that on my website, and I was shocked at the number of people, when you're talking about these claims that come at you, like attorneys. The gentleman that does my web service said to him, he works with a bunch of attorneys, and there was an attorney, I believe, that got hit with an ADA compliance issue on their website.
Oh, yeah.
Go and do it. So that can happen to us, even if you're a real estate associate, or if you're a broker associate, or if you're a broker owner or licensed broker and you have your own business. No matter what you are in this business, there could be, it just takes one person to go to your website that has maybe a visual or auditory disability, and they can't use your website because you don't have the compliance in place or the coding in place. Yep, that attorney is going to come after you. And that's like what you're saying, Mike. And what Mike is saying is that, yeah, everybody prepares for the errors and omissions insurance. They prepare for personal injury insurance, bodily injury, uninsured motorists, all this. But it's the things like this that will come and blindside you out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, now I have to pay out of pocket, or you have to go bankrupt or shut your business down because you have to pay this debt off forever.
Unfortunately, like lately, it's people coming to us going, and this is happening almost on a daily basis. I need cyber liability coverage. Tell me about it. And it's like, the first question we've come to ask is like, what happened? Well, I got an email from somebody who's going to file a complaint because of exactly what you just said. Is it ADA compliant? And trust me, there are attorneys out there who are going out and finding people to file these claims, whether they're legit or fraudulent. I mean, like we just redid our website. I have the logo up there on the website that just says we are ADA compliant. And an ounce of prevention goes a long way. In this industry. So there are going to be more threats on that, but it's just not that. I mean, I see from small business owners, especially in real estate too, not only planning for that and against that, but one other thing I know we were talking about before too is what is the agent's path of, are they going to open a brokerage someday? And, most agents obviously are 1099. And here's one thing I find scary across all businesses when you are a contractor, you are a 1099, is protecting that income. I talk to people all day long, whether they're making, $50,000 to $500,000 to $1 million a year in an industry that's based on their comp, is based on commission. Guess what? If they walk out the door tomorrow and get hit by a bus, they have no disability coverage, no life insurance, nothing to secure that coverage. And it is amazing to me. And I would guess an estimate off the top of my head would be 99% of the contractors I talk to don't carry even an AFLAC policy. And it amazes me to this day.
Oh, that's a good topic you bring up, because then we'll have to have a conversation. We'll have to reach out to your office after the show or sometime today, because I'd like to get insurance to protect myself. You never know, because we live downtown and all we have to do is step off that sidewalk, or you don't even have to step off the sidewalk. We live off right at Rosalind and Robinson. And as you guys know, that corner is really dangerous with cars, because one road is one way, one road is two way. And every day and every night, like, because even though we live on the 8th floor and we have these hurricane windows, you can still hear that somebody almost hit somebody by turning the wrrong way.
Oh, so, and it's directly correlated with COVID. I mean, as soon as I was talking to a couple of friends of mine who are adjusters, and they were like, my volume's down, my PIP volume's down. I don't have that many claims. I was like, wait till they reopen the roads, and we're going to see a surge in severity. And we're talking severity, we're talking fatalities, huge bodily injury cases and whatnot. And sure, what happened nationally, fatalities went up 8 to 14%, like almost overnight. So you are seeing that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's what I always like to say when we first had our lockdown in Florida, in Orange County, especially in the Orlando area, like I-4, as we all know, the traffic, they go to the theme parks. I-4 is always busy. People going from coast to coast, from Daytona all the way to Pinellas, because that's coming off of 95 and all that's in 75 in the Tampa area. And the crazy thing is that, when that first happened, the lockdown happened, the roads were empty, and it was weird. But it was also really cool. It was like, this is awesome. And they're actually getting closer to finishing the express lanes on I-4, the contractors, because the traffic went down significantly. But my point is that what you're saying is that it's almost like I say it to my spouse, and I say to everybody in the business, I said, well, it's almost like everybody forgot how to drive when they go to a store like Costco, and you see people going crazy in the parking lot trying to find a parking spot, cut you off, trying to run you over. You know, you pedestrians, or whether you're in the car or you're pedestrian, it seems like you're a target because everybody forgot how to drive and how to be courteous in those 2 months that we were like minimized on the road and travel,
Oh yeah, I mean, even just on the personal injury volume, which is the most common type of auto claim in Florida, the average adjuster now is probably handling in excess of about 200 files. It's crazy, and it's going to take a long time to level off.
No, I agree. So, all right, everybody. So, Mike, I got your information down at the bottom. So this has been my paid advertiser, Blanchard Insurance. They'll be returning again next week with me. We'll get in touch about determining the day and the time, and we're learning through this process together here to get the best time for you guys. Is there anything else you'd like to words of wisdom you'd like to say before we wrap up here in a few minutes or a few seconds?
For the real estate community, all the realtors out there, I know it's frustrating with the homeowners insurance market here in Central Florida. It's getting just as bad as Miami has been. We call Central Florida, the new Tri-County, unfortunately, with insurance. If you run into issues, give us a call. And I don't care if it's day or night. Most of you who we work with have our cell phones. I know it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough next 2 to 5 years. There are solutions. Give us a call. We've seen pretty much every problem, and we can help you figure it out so, your sellers can sell and your buyers can buy. So that's what we're here for. And if any of you, anybody out there has any questions that they want to see addressed specifically in regards to anything related to insurance, especially here in Florida, please feel free to reach out to Nick, and we'll cover the topics. I mean, we're literally the insurance nerds here, so we can talk about anything.
Yes, I was in the business 20 years before that, and my late great uncle, his name was Nick as well. And I'll tell you real quick before we go, he was an Allstate agent, and he also, when he first started, he used to be like a desk or something, or a counter at Sears.
Yeah,
in the old days is when he was an agent, and then of course he opened his own office or rented his office. But that unfortunately he passed a few years ago. I think it was like 3 years ago. But no, but I guess I followed in his footsteps there for a while. But now I shifted from that to real estate. So it's all good though. Yep. All right, Mike. Well, everybody out there, this has been Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. You can reach me at 407-508-8809 or at downtown.expert on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, check out my website, www.downtown.expert. Thanks again for our paid sponsor, Blanchard Insurance.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, no worries. And for all your insurance needs, reach out to them over there at Blanchard Insurance. From downtown Orlando, Florida, as you guys see this really awesome picture I took the other day on one of our walks, the 408 near Lake Underhill. This has been Nicholas Acosta, licensed real estate broker with Downtown Expert Realty, LLC. Wishing you guys all great real estate health. Till next time, stay safe, be kind to everyone around you. Goodbye. And Mike, again, have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to Nicholas Acosta with Downtown Expert Realty in Orlando, Florida, and host of the podcast, Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. Check out his website, www.downtown.expert or 407-508-8809. Facebook and Instagram at downtown.expert. See you next time.